Hey everybody, welcome back to another Shadowdancers devlog. I'm so happy to say that we've actually hit 30 subscribers, and that means it's Q&A time. So the first question in the Q&A is, what inspired you to get into game dev? And that's a really good question. So what inspired me to get into game dev was a couple of things. As I showed in one of my previous videos, I played a game called Mega Man Maker, and that showed me that I could actually make games and have fun with it. But the first game to ever get me into gaming in general was Pokemon Ruby. It gave me my own fun quests, and I just really enjoyed my time with Pokemon Ruby. So Pokemon Ruby got me into gaming, while Mega Man Maker got me into game dev. Along with that, I've just liked games ever since I was young, and I've always thought they were cool. That's what got me into game dev. Next question. So the next question is, what gives you motivation to continue to create games? Now this one's a good one, but a kind of difficult one to answer. So I'm a very creative person, as you can tell through all the dialogues and fun interactions in the game. What keeps me motivated is a couple of things. One of the big ones is you guys. Giving you guys a cool game that people really like is a big motivator for me. Along with that, when I make my games, I've always wanted to make a game that I personally would enjoy playing. That's what I've tried to go for in my games, hence all the bad jokes, the references, just all the fun stuff like that. So what basically keeps me motivated is to make a good game for both me and you guys. The third question is, what has been your favorite thing you've made so far? So my favorite thing I've made so far, I'm going to break this into two sub-questions. Favorite game and favorite video. So favorite video is a really easy one. It's my inspirations video. I had a lot of fun making that video as I just got to pull from all these things that I like and love. Playing, just watching, it's so fun. It was easily my funnest video to make. My favorite game is a bit harder, but I kind of landed on the original Shadowdancers, as that game to me was all the things I wanted in a game chucked into one game and had all these jokes and truly felt like something I had made. Now, the fourth question is, what inspired your characters? What inspired my characters was, at least for the main four of Shadowdancers, I basically put all of the different parts of my personality into the main four. So, to put it badly, my inspiration is myself on that one. As for someone like Leon, I like to lead people, so I put that into him. For someone like Terry, I love making bad jokes. I absolutely love making bad jokes, and whatever Terry says is basically what's on my mind. Someone like Hector, though he's not as connected to me, with Hector, I leaned in my almost innate drive to want to do new things. Testing out things like music, or even YouTube. I've never even tried YouTube before, but then I tried it with this. So Hector kind of tries to find those new things in the world through research and older like statues and things like that, and he tries to figure out the world and learns new things. And Ken is my honesty, sometimes in brutal proportions, as I say what's actually on my mind, even when it's sometimes to my detriment. And I didn't realize that until I wrote Ken a lot more, but I realized how much he was like me, and that he just gets to the point, and he very much is honest with how he feels, and that's sometimes detrimental to him, but it's also greatly appreciated by the party, as he doesn't mince his words. The fifth question is, when you get into a creative slump, what do you do to get out of it? So what I do when I get into a creative slump is I have a giant water bottle beside me when I do game dev, and that sounds really odd. It's about 1.5 liters, and I just drink that whenever I'm feeling like, I'm stuck on this. But creative-wise, I just kind of think of whatever I feel like would be fun. But when I'm kind of stuck, I usually ask around, be like, hey, what do you think would be cool to add? Or honestly, I just take whatever cool idea I have in my brain that I'm a little too worried on, and I just throw it in anyways. For example, something like me throwing in Tubular, that was a spur-of-the-moment thing. I just did that because I thought it'd be fun. But yeah, that's what I do when I get a creative slump. I drink water, stay hydrated, and I just think through the process really heavily and deliberate to myself about what I want to throw into my game, or whatever else I'm making, like music, for example. The sixth question is, what is your favorite Sonic game? I'm not the biggest Sonic fan, but I have dabbled in Sonic on occasions. For example, I've played a bit of Sonic Colors. Should probably finish it, actually. From what I gather, it was actually pretty good. So I'd probably categorize that as my favorite, because I've tried both Sonic 1 and 2, but they're more ad versions, and they just weren't that fun, because I noticed I kept dying over and over again, and I just kept getting ads, and it wasn't as cool. I've played around with it a bit. I thought Sonic Colors was actually a pretty solid game. I would like to try something like Sonic Mania at some point. I also have The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I thought it would be pretty interesting to try. So yeah, my favorite Sonic game currently is Sonic Colors, though that honestly could be bound to change once I play more Sonic games and see what else there is. So the 7th question is, what is the biggest challenge I've had to overcome? Now, this to me could be a lot of things. This could be game dev, this could be life, this could be YouTube, this could be a lot of things. But for the sake of sticking with the kind of devlog format and not going into too personal of depths, I would say for game dev, it's really been getting my name out there. And also same with YouTube. But game dev to a certain extent is, how do I make a game that people will play? And I've found that posting it on something like Itch and having a really good trailer was a decent way to do it. For example, that trailer I posted as my very first video, it got like 140 views, and that really showed me that trailers are really important. But yeah, my biggest challenge, honestly, for me is getting noticed, because I put a lot of effort in my work, and I really want to keep making at the quality I do. But it's kind of hard when you don't have something like sufficient funding or something like that. The next question is, any games you recommend in the platformer genre? So, I enjoy platformers. I don't play them too frequently, but a couple I found that I really enjoyed were a couple of my favorite ones. Something like, as I've seen on the channel before, Shovel Knight Plague of Shadows was a huge one for me. I absolutely felt like it was such a great and wonderful platformer. The almost slippery controls of Plague Knight, once you figure them out, it's a joy to control him. His mechanics are so fun and interesting that the fact you can do multiple bomb types or have different arcanas, it's a wonderful thing. Same with the other campaigns, though Plague of Shadows is still easily my favorite, by a long shot. Another big platformer that I really enjoy is Mega Man, just the series as a whole, not even Mega Man Arena in this case. But I found that Mega Man, as I'm a huge Mega Man fanboy, has really made me appreciate a love of platformers, as it has such tight controls. In something like Mega Man 2, let's say, you can jump through stages and just jump and shoot your way through, as you're supposed to, because you're Mega Man, right? And having that sense of control. Sure, you fall like a brick when you fall as Mega Man, and that's okay, because you have that control in the air when you jump, and when you shoot, and when you charge shot, and when you use the Robot Master's weapons. Those are my main two, but I would highly recommend Mega Man 1 through 11. Specifically, I would recommend starting with something like 2, 3, or 4, as I found those are really good ones to get into with. Specifically, I've played a lot of 2, but honestly, 4 or 6 is probably my favorite. But yeah, I'd say start with the Mega Mans, specifically the classic series, so just 1 through 11, they're all really good games. So, another question I got was, have you thought about swapping to another game engine, such as Godot? So, I've been using RPG Maker for about 1,000 hours now. Now, I bet you not all of those hours are dedicated to solely RPG Maker. I've definitely been off doing other things while having it open, but I spent a lot of time in it, and I really enjoy using it. I have considered using something like Godot, but I'm not really as strong when it comes to programming, to be completely honest. I also don't do art, which is another thing RPG Maker helps me with. If I could get a team that could cover both those things for me, and I could just write a great story, or design some cool levels, or even make music for it, then maybe. But honestly, right now, I find it so fun to just be a one-man wrecking crew and make almost everything I want for my game and make it awesome, and people love it. So yes, I've thought about it, but honestly, not for a while, until I want to make something else, like a party game or a fighting game or something like that. Another question is, what do you do to help yourself to work more efficiently? So what I do a couple things for this. I have a bottle of water, as I've mentioned previously, and I drink this water whenever I'm thinking of things. Sometimes going on walks helps. Usually though, what I've found is to work more efficiently and faster, I just love playing some of my favorite music, and I kind of almost not drown it out, but sometimes I even sing along to it. Just singing the lyrics, having fun with it. And to me, game dev, you should have fun with it. Because if you're not having fun with it, it's just another job, right? To me, game dev is just inherently fun. So playing my own music that I like to listen to, it's fun. Or just coming up with really dumb jokes to throw in, such as the tubular bit. That to me makes it fun, and that helps me make it more efficient. But just having fun with it, relaxing, not putting too much stress on yourself, because if you put stress on yourself, you will fall, and it's not fun. But yeah, that's what I do. I usually drink water and play some music and just have fun with it. My next question is, what are your future plans for the channel? Now, behind the scenes, I've been plotting. That sounds bad, but it's legitimate. I've been thinking about a lot of stuff, what I want to do for this channel, because I'm really excited we hit 30. Because that means everything will keep growing and you guys will keep getting that awesome content that I really enjoy putting out. So I have a couple plans for this channel. One of the first ideas I've had, and it's one of my favorites, I'm not sure when we'd do it, my guess was around 50 or 70 subs, so that's far in the future, would be something like an art contest for community members. The sub amounts could always change for just reasons, such as not getting enough support or something like that, but I was considering an art contest for all my artsy people in the community. What you'd be drawing would be 4 elemental beasts, the one that King Lazura mentioned in his quest after you defeat the werewolf, but I haven't made them in the game yet because I don't have the art assets for them. So I was thinking that the community could help out with the game by including these art assets. What I was thinking was putting a form out, and you could submit a art piece for each specific animal you want to draw. You could only draw one of them, you could draw 3 of them, you could draw all of them. It doesn't really matter. But basically, what you'd be drawing would be, for the fire element, a salamander. I could give reference images in the form itself, but this is a bit away. I still need to gather more reference images and stuff like that for all the animals. So, a fire salamander. For earth, a wolf, a water serpent, and finally, the idea that started this all was a wind boar. This big hulking boar made out of pure wind. I thought it sounded really cool. And of course, we can iterate on this later as we go. And the last question for this Q&A is, what is your favorite game? If you can't tell through all the devlogs or any of the jokes I've thrown in, my personal favorite game of all time, which has not changed for roughly, I believe, 6 years now, might be less than that. My favorite game of all time is Shovel Knight Plague of Shadows. I remember the first time I played that game, it was an absolutely enchanting experience. It was so wonderful and amazing. The story was top-notch. I felt for Plague Knight. I felt for Mona. They were so well developed, and the story would not have flourished and stuck in my mind as much as it has if those characters were not so wonderful. Small things like Plague Knight not being able to dance right in front of her when you can dance around literally anyone else in the game as a taunt is a wonderful small detail that the developers did not have to add, but they did anyways because that helped them with their story. The other campaigns, they're good, but to me, Plague of Shadows hit a chord, because I am a sucker for romance. Especially ones that actually end happily, and in that story, it ends very happily. And I just found that it was such a well-developed game that had such a lovely premise, and such a wonderful story, and great characters, that I can't, even now, a long time after I played it, I think almost half a decade at this point, I still think about it. And that's how big of an influence it's had on me, because it was such a great game. Now, the last and most difficult question that I could possibly get for a Q&A. How many potatoes are needed to break a watermelon? Now, if you're speaking to me on this one, I have a couple of answers for you. This grueling, difficult question. There are a couple of answers. One, just throw it really hard. Get some Major League Baseball pitcher, chuck that thing into the watermelon, and hopefully it will break. Or just use some other thing of velocity to break the watermelon by just chucking a potato through it, because potatoes are decently dense. Now, the second thing could be, legitimately, to just get a bucket full of potatoes, drop them from a skyscraper, and hope they hit the watermelon. Once they hit the watermelon, hopefully they obliterate it. So you don't just get one clean shot, you get multiple. Now the third one, and the most experimental, would be to tape a knife to the potato. Please don't do this. Tape a knife to the potato, throw the potato, hopefully not cutting yourself, and then you would cut the watermelon. That's how you would break a watermelon with a potato. I recommend doing the first thing, if you can find a pitcher that can throw a potato that fast. That's about it for this Q&A. I got some really fun questions to answer, some really difficult ones to answer too. But yeah, that's about it for this devlog. I've been Fire. See ya.